Supermarket. Hi, Leigh and followers. Amazing. We are now on episode 4 of our Supermarket podcast. Thank you all for watching on YouTube and for listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Hi, everyone. So we do know now you enjoy what we are doing. So please like, follow, and or share with others our collective desire to bypass those supermarkets.
And after episode 3, Leigh, we chatted about how to store produce effectively. We had a few emails asking about how Box Divvy worked and why the produce was so fresh.
True, it is very fresh, Jane. I've, for example, got some beans in my fridge. They're coming probably up to about 3 weeks old and they're still going strong. But I will say I've stored them correctly, as we covered in the last podcast. That's so important for the longevity of our fresh produce. So I used paper towel to absorb the damp and a closed container.
Great. And I think the main aim of what we do is to minimise food waste from the farmer, wholesaler, and ensure freshness. And this involves quite a lot of management at the farm food producer end through to the delivery to our food hubs.
For those of you who are not members of one of our hubs, a Box Divvy food hub is usually at a neighbour's home or a community centre where the produce and groceries are delivered to, and they're packed then by the Hubster who runs the food hub, and then when they're all ready, they're picked up by members that afternoon.
And this is done without storing the food in the first place. We have a sort of just-in-time management approach for our farmers and wholesalers. The process emphasises good communication with farmers and wholesalers, and we make sure that they get their daily orders that they can deliver to our warehouse or to the farmers market, which we will then pick up. It's the same day that the goods are packed, and the very early the next day it gets put onto trucks and out to the hubs and packed and picked up by members the same day.
So what are you saying, Jane, that the farmers are picking to order?
Yeah, and we closely manage the quantity that members need each day.
Wow, that must mean really great communication with predicting supply for the farmers.
And some food manufacturers, for instance, the bread, it's baked the night before, hub day, and then we pick it up early in the morning. The meat people need good heads up for numbers so they can butcher to order.
So does this just-in-time way of working mean more or less production costs?
If it's done well, then less. And of course, we do it well. So if you look at supermarkets, for instance, they will purchase, usually on price, then store. They will then send it off to distribution centres, and from there it goes onto trucks, and there it goes to stores. So it's a long waiting time for the produce, many people involved with the fresh food and grocery items.
So how do Box Divvy with the just-in-time communicate with the farmers?
Well, we speak to the farmers quite often on a Thursday, the local farmers, they're on their tractors saying what they're going to pick the following week, or we will speak to interstate farmers or to their agents about what's coming in.
And this means what is ready to be picked and is seasonal can be offered at the best price to members, and members can order only what they need, farmers supply what they have ready to go, and thus it reduces food waste for both the supplier and the consumer.
Yeah.
So no food waste, as only what is needed is ordered, and no food spoilage, of course, because it's so fresh.
Yeah, the quality is maintained because there's no storage, and members can get their produce up to 30% cheaper than supermarkets, and the groceries are a really good value as well.
And I'm guessing it also lowers food miles and overall carbon footprint, which is great. Is there any issue though, like with the supply when the supply is disrupted, like with floods or hail or, general supply issues from manufacturers?
Yeah, there is. Sometimes a broccoli grower might get hit by hail over the weekend, but we have enough good relationship with farmers interstate and within New South Wales and ACT to be able to fulfil the supply fairly quickly. I think one of the things I would like to reference is that small growers who grow one item often can't get to market. So what happens in their community is another farmer will pick up on their behalf and take it to the farmers market or bring it to us directly. It makes no sense for them to get a truck, fill it with cauliflower, for instance, and bring it down. It increases their carbon footprint and cost. So that's how we help them.
That's fantastic to hear, because that's what I'd love to see, and a lot of people love to see, is community working together.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's see a farmer, Manuel Xerri. He's in Freeman's Reach. He supplies us celery, rhubarb, leeks, iceberg and cos lettuce. Let's see his farm.
When I grew up with my father, we were in an area where it's all built up now, in Marsden Park. So it's all houses there, all our farm's gone there. And then as I grew up, started for myself, left home, I came to this area. First time we grew was zucchini, and that's how we started. We put the first crop of zucchini, me and my wife grew it, and kept getting bigger after that, and adventuring into more products.
Was that still here in North Richmond, or was this somewhere else?
Yeah, it was here just 5 minutes away in Glossodia. And we started on 25 acres and kept getting bigger after that. We have about 5 farms, all over 25 to 30 acres each.
Wow.
Keeps us very busy. Kids kept getting older and interested more, and they're helping me do it. Joseph, my older son, he looks after the whole lot, looks after the planting, looks after the seeding, looks after the feeding of the crops. My daughters help out when they can, and drive the tractors, ploughing, planting, and whatever Joseph tells them what to do. And we have our younger son Isaac, and he's into it too now, and he does what Joseph tells him and looks after any maintenance and farms too, ploughing. They grew up like I did. I grew up with my father, they grew up with me, and so they know what to do.
Has there been any new machinery that you didn't have when you started?
Yes, we've got bigger tractors. So when we are ploughing, we plough 3 lines at once instead of 1, which makes work easier and quicker. We have a bigger planting machine than what we had. Instead of doing a single row, we do 3 rows. And we have harvesters, which they're like trailers, and we pick our product onto it. It comes up a belt. We manually cut it, but we put it on the belt. It goes on top of the belt, pack it and stack it instead of going with 1 at a time or with a single tractor. It helps.
Right, so you actually pack into boxes as you're going along in the field?
Yeah.
So there's not like a separate place where you have to bring everything to pack it together?
We pack zucchini in the sheds because it's a bit hard to pack it in the fields, but everything else pretty much gets packed in the farm, yeah. We try not to leave much behind, but if we do, we go in with a machine and mulch it.
Right.
So it can come like a compost for the ground. We grow a lot of kale, we grow a lot of cabbages, a lot of cauliflower, a lot of lettuce, and, a lot of zucchinis in summer, eggplant, capsicum. We take it to Flemington Market and distribute it from there. Like I used to go with my father as a kid, and that was just like an outing for me. And from there on, when my father got older, and then passed it on to me, and and got used to it. It's all changed. Years ago, used to just selling there and there on the floor. These days, it's all on mobile phones and photos. And yes, it is very hard. Like our profit margins are much tighter than what they were years ago. So sometimes it's really, you've got to grow more for less. Try and make it work.
Has upscaling helped deal with that?
Not all the time, but as I said, like you've got to change your ways and try, and hopefully a profit is left. But it's not easy with all these costs. My brother, my sister, my cousins, all in the area. And they grow Asian veggies as well, and they grow our type of veggies too. So if we haven't got it here, we've got it there, and
you help each other out.
Help each other, yeah. We mainly transplant 95% of the crops.
Okay. Yeah.
So it gets grown in a nursery.
Yeah.
My sister has a nursery also that grows a lot for us, and she brings the plants to us and we plant them. Yeah, we use safe fertilisers most of the time. We fertilise it before we plant it while we're mixing the ground in. And then if it needs something else, we water it through the irrigation. Some fertilisers, it's safe for the product.
It seems like you're pretty handy with the tools. I just caught you trying to fix something.
Yeah, I try and do what I can. Try and save a bit of costs and get the farm keep going so it doesn't stop.
What do you love the most about being out here?
Watching the crop grow. Really makes us happy and seeing it grow well and try to improve it every time. One time I happened to be driving in the other end of this farm and a couple stopped. They ran in, grabbed 2 cabbages, ran back out. I just happened to be there and I said, hey! You have to be like with your heart in it. So, what can I say? It really makes you happy to see people want your product and eat it.
Well, as they say, without a farmer, we have no food.
Yeah, it's quite an art growing. I've just had my patch of bok choy pulled out, and I did do companion planting with thyme, but it didn't quite work. We got attacked by aphids and it was heartbreaking. I literally had to start again. So I hold farmers in a very high esteem.
Next, we have Zoe, a Hubster. She's one of our long-term Hubsters in Seven Hills, and she's making a very delicious vegetarian Masala Dahl. I actually made this the other night, Jane, and it was delicious. Even growing a lentil crop, has its challenges.
Dahl is actually the lentil used by a lot of Indian dishes, like the masala that Zoe's going to show us. There's a good website called Pulse Australia Lentil, and they show you actually how to grow lentils. And that will be in comments in YouTube.
We digress. Let's get whisked away with Zoe.
Hello, I'm Zoe from Box Divvy 7 Hills, and today I'm going to make a masala style dal recipe. First, I'm going to show you all the things that we'll need. Firstly, this is the Belicious Goan style masala. It's medium spice. You can get this in the Box Divvy pantry section. If you're not really a fan of spice, you might want to go for a milder curry spice recipe, but I love this one. It's just the right spice level that I like. You'll also need coconut oil. This is the honest to goodness one, also available in the Box Divvy pantry range. Some red lentils, which are the split ones. This is from the pantry section as well. And my very favorite coconut milk that you can get from Box Divvy. It's 100% coconut, the ingredients, which is really hard to find. Most of the ones in the supermarket have thickeners and extra water in them. So this is a really great product that I love using regularly. Fresh ingredients you'll need. You can choose what vegetables you want to pair with the dal. I love to do roast pumpkin and roast cauliflower. I also love roast eggplant if I've got it. You could do other veggies as well, whatever you kind of got. Otherwise, some good roasting veggies will go really nicely with this recipe. You need onion, garlic, ginger, bird's eye chilies, and a bunch of English spinach, and some coriander, a lemon, and 1 litre of stock. You can use veggie stock, chicken stock, broth, whatever you like, but you need 1 litre for this recipe. I'm going to chop everything up and then we can get started cooking. First step is to roast the vegetables. I've got my pumpkin and cauliflower chopped up here. I like to keep them nice and big, and they can go in the oven for about half an hour on 200 degrees. So I'll put them in the oven now. And then we can get started on cooking the actual dal. First, we're going to heat up our pot on medium heat and put in our coconut oil. Once the oil is heated up, we're going to add our sliced onions. We want to cook them until they're soft. When the onions are nice and soft, we can add in the masala spice mix. 1 or 2 minutes. Once it starts to get nice and fragrant, we're going to add in the garlic, ginger and the chili and mix it around for a couple of minutes. When it starts to sizzle like that, it's pretty much ready. Now what we're going to do is actually take out half of this mixture and save it for topping at the end when we're serving, and then the other half we'll leave in the pot, and that's going to flavour the rest of the dal. Next we're going to add in our stock and our lentils and the coriander stems. So we don't get rid of the stems, we use the stems, they add lots of flavour. And the coriander leaves we will use for garnish at the end. And our coconut milk. Now, because this is 100% coconut, it does solidify in the can, so just be careful when you are getting it out, because the liquid at the bottom can sometimes get everywhere. That's from personal experience. So just carefully. There we go. And turn the heat up a little bit. So you want the coconut oil to all dissolve, and then you want to bring this to a simmer. Once it's simmering, you can turn it down and leave it for about 15 minutes, stirring it every now and again until the lentils are nice and soft. Lentils have kind of turned yellow rather than being red anymore. They're nice and soft. Then we're going to add in our chopped English spinach. You can also use kale, you could use baby spinach instead, or other greens. Once the spinach is all wilted, just add in lemon juice and a bit of salt and pepper. Alright, now we're ready to serve. Alright, time to plate up. Roast veggies. Then some of that onion mixture that we kept at the beginning. And then of course plenty of coriander. There we go. Let's test. Now, if you want to, you can serve this with rice. Toasted Afghan bread would be really yummy as well. Sometimes I just like to have it with the vegetables, but you can definitely serve it with something else like that as well. And it tastes really good the next day, so if you've got leftovers, just reheat it the next day and you can enjoy it all over again. Hope you enjoyed this recipe.
The plating up of this dish makes it so inviting. I just love all those roasted vegetables that go on top. Like Zoe mentioned, these dishes always seem to taste so much better the following day.
The herbs and spices seep into the dish.
Well, thank you all for joining us, and we would love to hear how you use dal or share a recipe that you love.
Yes, Dahl, share your recipes in comments on YouTube or send us an email at hello@unsupermarket.au. And remember
to... Excuse me.
Oh, bless you. You ready? 2,
Yes.
3.
And remember... Sorry, do it. I can't
You
stop
ready?
laughing. Yes.
And remember
to...
count. And
Okay.
remember
And remember to unsupermarket.
Unsupermarket.